there, plant friends. My name is Haniya, and it has been embarrassingly long since my last video. Today I wanted to talk about fishtail palms, or specifically the species Caryota Mitis. There are a number of palm species that do also have the name fishtail palm, but Caryota Mitis is probably one of the more famous versions of that palm tree. And that being said, this is what they look like. And you can see right off the bat how it gets its fishtail palm name. Does not look like a whale tail or a fishtail just coming straight out of the dirt. And this guy, I guess, germinated around 5 to 6 months ago. So just FYI, if you do want to plant fishtail palms, and even to get to this stage, this guy's probably 8 months old from the time that I planted the seed to now, and is still only one leaf or 2 leaves. Anyway, that being said, I probably bought 20 to 30 seeds. I only have about 6 remaining that germinated, didn't mold. Palm seeds are something else, you guys. They can be very easy to grow, or they can be very difficult. And I don't think that these guys are particularly the most difficult, but they do require some preparation. And the first thing I will say is that when you get them, you should immediately put them in very warm water. And I think for the time that I had mine soaking, it was probably around 85 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I had them sitting on top of my radiator in the middle of a winter month, so that was fairly hot. And they sat there for about a week straight, just softening that shell and getting them more pumped to, you know, start to germinate. Then once I did that, I actually nicked several of these seeds. So basically I found the germination pour on the seed, and I am gonna do an up close version of that here. And when you're looking at the germination pour, what you're looking for is a little indentation that looks like, I guess, a belly button on the seed, if I could say that, but it's not a hole, it's just like a little indentation. And sometimes there's false germination pores. It's kind of a nightmare when you're coming to palm seeds, but basically nicking the pore of a germination seed kind of mimics a bird biting the seed, or a, you know, like something scratching the seed in the wild, and it gets the seed's embryo some of that water and light coming into the seed to get it to germinate. You can germinate seeds without nicking the embryo pore if you don't feel comfortable enough doing that to your seeds. I've also killed a number of seeds by nicking the embryo pore, and it clearly did not work out. The seed either rotted or molded, or I killed the embryo when I did it. That's just word to the wise. It's not super easy. You'll want to use a very clean scalpel or something similar. I actually just ordered a medical scalpel on Amazon and used replacement blades for that. And when I was using the scalpel, I would try to clean it off in between using an alcohol wipe, just to make sure that from seed to seed I wasn't transmitting any extra fungus or bacteria that could kill the embryo as well. Then once you have your seeds prepared, they've soaked, you've, you know, nicked that germination pour right off, you need to prepare a bag of sphagnum moss. And I just used a large size bag because I had 30, you know, fairly huge size seeds, like, I don't know, like a dime size of a seed. And I just dumped them straight onto the sphagnum moss. You essentially just want to make sure they're pretty covered in sphagnum moss so that they have water coming into them from all sides, or at least moisture coming into them from all sides. And I would also say they do appreciate warmth. I've seen people keep them on top of seed mats, and that will also help speed up germination. Or once you see the roots start to form, you want to keep a close eye on them once they're in the sphagnum moss bag. I would say about 2 to 3 inches. You don't want the seed root, the taproot that's coming down, to get tangled in the sphagnum moss, because it just makes it more difficult for later on when you're going to plant it. If it's tangled in the sphagnum moss, it can get tangled with other roots from other seeds. that being said, I haven't had an issue with that yet. I just know that that can be a problem. And what you want to plant it in is a mixture of coconut coir, and this is pumice and perlite, I believe, on top here. So I do that, and then I typically just use tap water. I haven't fertilized them. I also haven't changed the soil mixture as of yet. I know some people can also use potting soil in their mixture as well, so that they get a little bit of fertilization in there, or at least like more organic material, because coconut coir and pumice are notoriously much more sterile than dirt. So yeah, once you see they've started to grow that taproot, you plant the seed. They will not have these cute little fishtails just yet. Sometimes people put all of their palm seeds in the same exact pot. I chose to put them in a 4-inch pot just so that they'd have a little bit more room than a larger pot, but it kind of doesn't matter. Once they get to be about this size, they need to be replanted, so I will be doing that in the coming weeks, and that is just to give them more space to grow, and also probably to put a little bit more potting soil mixture in there so that it's not just totally coir and pumice and perlite, and they get a little bit more mineral action going on. Am I missing anything about starting these seeds? Oh yes. So once you've potted them in your coir, pumice, perlite mixture or something akin to that, you'll want to put the seeds inside of another plastic bag. And the reason for that is those seeds still need a ton of humidity, and if you can swing it, I would just put, you know, 2 of these pots a bag, or if you're doing a giant community pot, 1 of those in a bag, or put the bag over the top of the pot. And the reason is just that you're trying to keep that humidity at as close to 100% as possible, and without it, the seeds will dry up and they will not grow. And I know that, unfortunately, because I've lost other types of palm seeds to a very similar circumstance where I took that baggie off way too soon and they dried out and they died. And when to take the baggie off is also another question. So once you see the leaves come up quite a bit and they're green and they look fairly healthy, I would think that's a time. Honestly, I could have probably left it on a bit longer for each of these types of seeds, so, you know, just FYI, like, don't freak out if they're growing in there. Palms generally love higher humidity, and that's how they get established and grow. So, you know, think about Florida. It's humid all the time. There's tons of palms in Florida, and that's the life that you're gonna live. Great. And so now 8 months later, I have a beautiful Caryota Mitis, and I'm hoping one day it can reach my ceilings and be, you know, tons of fishtails poking up, because I also love fish and hope that, you know, my plants can resemble my fish. Cool. Okay, so let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if I may have missed something. Palm seeds are a little bit trickier than some other types of seeds, so if you do buy a bunch of palm seeds, know that your germination rate may not be super high, and if it is, that's excellent, but your first few times with palm seeds, it may not be super high, and that is okay. It's a new type of seed to learn, and they are not really used to indoor conditions, if I might say so myself. So the best thing you can do is try to recreate something tropical for them inside. Well, thanks so much, guys. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe, and I will have my next video up shortly, and I'm hoping that will be about how to grow houseplants and fish tanks.